Meeting the town of Bridgewater Budget and Finance Committee in order, and the time is 6:05. So the first thing we need to do is approve of the minutes from last week.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And next we have is public comment. Is there anybody online for public comment, or is this?
It's only recorded.
Okay, anybody in the room? So there's no public comment. So this discussion, I handed out the veterans exemption because we do get a lot of reimbursements, Laurie, right?
Yep.
I didn't know that we actually they got reimbursement in exemptions for motor vehicle taxes.
For veterans, for the seniors and veterans, yes.
Seniors too?
Yeah.
So I have for this, the veterans, it's under the HERO Act.
No, there was some in the motor vehicle that were before the HERO Act,
Okay,
but I
So-
think with the HERO Act, there was, leniency for veterans to qualify.
so the seniors know that they can get this too?
I believe so, yeah, it's on the website. What we're trying to do is, take advantage of some other senior.
No, they have to be a
Exemptions.
certain age? This
Yes,
is-
we want to look at the current, legislation and tweak it to be able to update the annual pay threshold of the senior, or maybe you look up the age, lower the age. So we're gonna look at some ways that we can help seniors, because we can take advantage of a full 100% reimbursement from the state. And our chief assessor is what we're gonna sit down. Mary offered to come in and sponsor the new legislation to update that and go through, what the chief assessor and the assistant assessor have looked through, and think that we could help a lot of other seniors take advantage, whether it's a small exemption or a greater one. It doesn't cost the town anything, it's just we bill it out, and then, we get a reimbursement back after it comes off the credit of the seniors.
So you're saying right now seniors get exemptions on motor vehicle?
Yes,
Do they have to be a certain age?
they have to qualify for a certain reason, disability or spouse of a veteran, or this blindness,
Okay.
certain qualifications.
So if our military is stationed somewhere, they get. And I think you wrote down deployment or active duty.
Mhm.
Okay. I didn't know that. That's good. So yeah, we'll work at that. You guys have any questions about anybody's?
I think it's just more of a comment, but I think the last time we discussed this last year, there were only 5 seniors who were eligible for the current.
Right, so we want to look to change that, so that, the threshold is should come down a little bit, and,
There has to be some limitations with that, right? Because if the state is funding 100% of it, I'm sure they have limitations.
yeah, but we haven't updated it in way long,
Okay.
and there are a lot of seniors that will qualify if we, get the ages, the age lowered, or the income to go a little low, however lower, whatever the qualifications. So we think that, this summer we talked about trying to, have someone sponsor that legislation and push it through.
That's great. Thanks for doing that, Mary.
Oh, anytime. I figured you guys were pretty, I think we talked about it before, one time or another, yeah. So these other exemptions that they have for the veterans, 22C, what was that? Is that property tax? And how about, so they're all property tax like D and E, but they're different levels?
The different types of exemptions.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions I have. If you guys have any, and I'm glad that we're gonna be doing this so much.
This time.
You're all set, Paul?
I'm all set. It's interesting to see the numbers after we made those adjustments. Sure, right? For the veterans. I hadn't seen the numbers yet.
Or for the I and the J?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is not related to INJ though.
Some of them are.
Some of this.
So this is the I and J?
Yeah.
Show
Is
us.
it because
We did
pass
pass
it
it.
in 25? No, 26. No, this is 25. So
Yeah.
I haven't closed 26. So this doesn't include
I
the.
mean, some of them, we get almost the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah, a couple of them over there. All right, should we go on?
Sure.
So the first order we have is order FY 26072, the Water Enterprise Fund Unit and Budget Transfer. Review already.
Okay, so this one is, you'll see the 3 or 4 coming after this are end of the year budgetary transfers. This one in particular in the water and sewer, so the enterprise fund is fully self-sufficiently funded by the user and utility ratepayers. There's no general fund offset by the taxpayers that pays for the operations, the capital, the salaries and wages and benefits of the enterprise fund employees. So this particular order is for the water enterprise fund for salaries and wages. And it's mainly due to there was some contractual compensation payments made and comp time payments. And because we had a water and sewer superintendent who were combined previous to in this fiscal year, the person retired. So 50% of that salary was in water, 50% was in sewer. So then we hired a full-time 100% water superintendent and sewer superintendent. Now, someone asked last night at the finance committee, why was that done? I don't know. We did used to have a full-time water superintendent and a full-time sewer superintendent. And I think at some point when Mr. Kozlowski's came on, or I think he was already the sewer superintendent. Anyway, but going with the times and bringing it with most other communities, we felt that each enterprise fund deserved its own superintendent to be in charge of its own staff, and they get more attention. So
Yeah, I agree with especially the town clerk.
So yes,
Somebody even asked why we needed that.
so this will fund, so we did have the sewer and water superintendent stay on a little bit. When he first retired to help with the new transition. We had current staff who were in other capacity in their job. So this will fully fund the salaries to get through to the fiscal year.
All right.
Some of this, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Some of this lawyer's overtime too.
Yeah, so because there was no superintendent in flux for a while, it's been a busy year, so there was a lot of overtime acting supervisor and contractual payments.
Any questions, Mark?
Nope.
All right, can I get a motion to?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on. The order FY 26073 sewer enterprise end of year budget transfer.
Okay, and so this again is the same as previous inside the sewer fund. Usually you'll see the general fund end of year transfers, and we don't necessarily need to do these transfers. Because everything comes in and flushes out, like looking at the revenues will probably cover these overages because it's tracking, but we like to have run a tight ship, and it's going into the retained earnings or it's coming out to cover this, and it's just going to flush back in. So just to happily report that the revenues have been tracking pretty well, and I don't see any problems, whatever. But this is just to keep those salary lines whole, so they don't fall into the deficit.
Any questions?
Motion to recommend.
No.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. So the next one is order O FY 26074 transfer station enterprise fund here in budget.
Okay, and again, this is an enterprise fund. The transfer station, just for anyone who's watching again, is operated and paid for from the receipts coming into the transfer station. All the fees, stickers, the trash revenues that come in pay for the operations and the salaries, the benefits, the way meaning the retirement and health insurance, and then the people working the air or retired. And so this actual transfer is due to the increase in the hauling and trash disposal contract that just recently came up or was inflationary, the costs have gone through the roof. Again, I'm happy to report that the revenues in the transfer station, because they did make a little adjustment last year. They're about 121% over, so there's money again in the revenue side that would cover the deficit and the expenses. But we feel going to the retained earnings to just to have a clean balance sheet is the way that we like to run our operations, so that's why we're doing this transfer.
Question. We had a resident, I think under citizen comment, bring up the whole idea that metals and stuff, we're paying for disposal when in fact we could recoup some of the monies in recycling those. Is that something that we can look at?
We already
I brought that up twice, yeah.
We collect metal redemption, and so we are collecting certain fees when people drop it off, but we still have to pay for it to be taken away.
No, but I mean, we can sell it. We even have a.
Yeah, we
board
can
now.
sell, yeah.
So
there-
I've
there is-
asked Con twice,
Yeah,
and I don't know who's in charge to go to about that.
Justin
No,
have to,
Thank you,
so
Justin, because you see that billboard?
Yeah.
I brought that up to Justin because I brought it up, because I mean, I'm done with my mother's house and stuff, like they make pretty good money.
I have a guy that lives in my neighborhood and he has a pickup truck and that's all he does. I think
Mhm.
that's his job. He
Yeah.
goes around town and finds washers and dryers and grills and stuff like that. And I personally think he's making his living there. So
They make good money from them.
yeah, I think if there's a way to make money, I think, transfer superintendent would be trying to spook that. I'm not really sure what the story is, but I think Justin.
Yeah, we need to make sure we cook it.
I'm gonna say the uncomfortable because I've said it in the past, but I would love to have the transfer station on a future budget and finance agenda because I think there's a revenue versus expense problem with this, and I think it's something the town should look at. So we've talked about it, and I just don't think we're sustainable at this point. So while that's a tough conversation to have, it's definitely something we should look
So
at.
you want it under discussion, maybe Justin can.
At some point. Yeah, I don't know.
No, that's just for next time, because I mean, you know, why shouldn't we be selling those things?
I just don't know if having a transfer station within town is going to be financially feasible
Yeah.
at this rate, looking at those numbers. So with the repairs that need to be made. So it's just something we should keep on our radar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough to say that because so many residents utilize that service, but
Well, I mean, if you go down there, those dumpsters that are filled with all different material, I mean, that guy bought a billboard up there.
Yeah.
And that's expensive, and that his job is to sell that stuff. I'm telling you, I used to live on the main street and they would always come by if anyone had a yard sale moving, they were right there to put stuff out of your basement and stuff. So it's gotta be good money.
or maybe we need to look at those fees again and just
The fees a
it
little
could be
bit.
drastic changes or increases, but maybe that's the alternative to being able to keep the service.
Yeah, because we only have one guy down there, right?
Yeah, so
That's
there's been
one.
several conversations going on, you
All
know,
right, I put it on the list.
because he is looking to retire.
Yeah.
So I think Justin and Rick, they've talked several times, they're gonna talk again in the summer. And I think, you know, Justin can fill everyone in, like what those conversations look like. But over the last 10 years with the rates, the way they've been, look, you know, they've been increasing, not too much, but over the last 10 years, the fund has been self-sustaining and it's actually made a little bit of money, so that it's fixed a couple of the equipment things that it needs. And we all know it needs a lot of work. It's not
Right.
making that much money, but it hasn't been a burden to the taxpayer.
Yeah.
The general fund hasn't had to subsidize this in probably about 12 years. So over the last 10 or so years, it's really taking care of itself. Do we want to be in the trash business? I don't know. That's a new conversation, but I think the community likes it. They like to go there. So there's a lot to consider. And I think, you know, Justin would looking forward to having those conversations.
I know we talked about outsourcing too, given the success of outsourcing the golf course. Maybe that's an option too. Rick retiring. And the cost of the machinery really being what's going to be the burden for the next few years.
Right. Yeah.
are there any towns that regionalize that service?
I'm not sure. There's so many private and wide.
Only downfall, they can raise their rates, and what are you gonna do? You're stuck.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like.
Yeah,
Valley Stream.
it's a community decision, I think, what
Yeah,
what
that's for
the
sure.
residents really want, I mean, a lot of people like to just pay for their own and they don't wanna do that, but there are a lot of people that do like to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And do.
well, then we'll try to see what we can do.
Yeah.
Just something to keep an eye on.
Yeah,
Right, something to discuss, even with the community too.
no, yeah, absolutely, we can put it after discussing it to finance, we can.
Yeah.
Put a discussion on the town council.
Let's
All right, there's no more questions, we have a motion to.
motion to recommend.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. So the next one is order 0FY26075 general fund and W transfers.
This again, bless you. This is another annual order that comes before you. This year was over 290,000 that we transferred around, 700. The last few years, it's been almost 1 million. I don't know why. I kept looking at everything going, and everything. But so this is where we don't spend any more money than we've already budgeted, except for in certain salaries and wages. Like, for example, the first one, the town manager had an excess of salaries because he didn't have an assistant town manager or an executive assistant. So executive assistant start till in October, but he did have a temp in there. So we're moving the salary into the expenses in the side there, because that's how it was voted on the budget. So we're moving a little bit of money around to where some excess and some overages are. The biggest one you can see is the town buildings. It's 124,000 going into there, mostly due to the electricity, National Grid, the
Mass,
and Columbia Gas. So there's like a shortfall of about 75,000. That's and it's because the rates are increased. Plus, we have the new fire station online, and you know we're usually a little short, but I just do want to mention that the town does everything it can to aggregate any of these energy costs. We have a 5-year contract with Constellation for the delivery services, similar to what the town did with the aggregation and getting the costs. Okay. Yeah, it's a good rate that we're getting, but National Grid's cost of delivery is the high piece that unfortunately we're all.
with your electric bill, can you get that itemized? How much is going for like this town, the town hall?
Oh, they
Those-
come separately. We have
So
about 280 accounts.
So
including
can we tell
streetlights.
how much we're using for charging these cars at here and at this new school? Because the new school is free too, right?
We don't pay this full.
No, I mean, they have charging stations. Is that those charging stations also free? That anybody can charge them?
Yeah.
So can we find out just how much we're paying for electric for?
I think
cars
we
being
tried to
charged?
find out before and it's not really going. Because it wasn't on a separate.
It's not on a separate meter, so is it on the meter for this town?
Charge.
And then there'll be one for the school?
Yeah, depending on, I mean, this station was hooked up, right after COVID, I think, so. I don't know why it didn't have its own meter.
I'm wondering if the school down there has their own meter.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. So we'll try to find out.
I don't think it does. I was on the school building committee. I don't think it does.
Right.
I have a question.
Mhm.
I know at the library this year, there was a employee who left earlier in the year,
Mhm.
and I don't see it on the front end.
Mhm.
She left the department. Is there money left from that?
There'll be money left over in the library salaries, yes.
Okay.
We,
Do you know how much?
no. There's a little bit. And then she wants, yes.
No more questions for the motion?
Motion to recommend.
You're a second.
Laurie, can I just ask one more question?
Sure,
Sorry.
of course.
There's 20 grand in legal fees on here.
You know what?
There's 20 grand in legal fees on here. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
ask what they're for, because I know I can talk to Justin about that too. But that's on top of what we pay Jason. His
Yeah, so the
regular-
legal fees are, they're not
Outside
really to
counsel.
Jason, yeah, they go to outside employment, legal, matters,
Arbitrations and stuff like that.
arbitration, or an arbitration with.
Is Jason paid as a salary employee
Yes, Jason.
and he receives benefits from the town as well too?
Up to for yes.
He does.
Mhm. So if we pay Jason by the hour, it would be more expensive, having to rotate that?
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was my understanding.
Yeah, yeah,
I talked to Mike about it forever.
that's what I figured, just knowing what I've been charged for before.
Yeah, I think in all of the salaries, everyone was cut, so his level stuff.
Yeah.
Or 1.5 COLA.
Can you just repeat what you just said?
And all the salaries in the budget that was voted, everyone had hours cut. So their salaries went down. The legal, this was the legal that went up 1.5%. So
Yours went up.
just by
Okay.
1.5,
Okay.
but
Just wanted
it's
to
still
know.
under the,
Well, he works more than 40 hours.
yeah,
probably.
it's not by now, it's just his annual salary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed. All right, so order 0 FY 26 076 contractual layouts.
Okay, so this is, an order that, this is for 4 employees that are leaving town. One recently just left. This is more. But the other 2 lines are for other employees who are being terminated due to the position.
So that's salary that, on Council of Asia. Is that gonna continue to go to the senior center? There's money left?
So we hired someone. for that
Oh,
position.
yeah, that's right, too.
That's the person
I
that
know.
left.
Yeah,
Pay out. whatever.
this is the person who left, we paid out, but we actually hired someone internally to
Okay.
work in that position.
Oh, that's right.
And CED is 2 people, correct?
All right, any questions? Oh, no.
No,
All right.
no, thank you.
Motion to recommend.
Can I get a second from Dr.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. See how you daydream? That's what happens to me, Paul, when you were,
My mind's, yeah.
exactly, you just got here. All right, order 0 FY 26 077 transfer order sewer capital funds transfer.
Okay, thank you. So this one is actually, was scheduled to be, in the capital plan for fiscal 27. However, the generator started beginning to fail. We moved it up so that they could, so that the sewer superintendent recommended that you can't get one for another 6 months, and in order to put a PO, we need the appropriation, so we felt prudent to put this operation in place so he can get that on wire and take this replacement.
Any questions?
Gotta do it, gotta do it.
But it's hard to
All
work.
right, no,
Motion to recommend.
Seconded.
no in favor?
Aye.
The next one is budget order 0 FY 27 006 CPA reserve accounts for FY 2027.
Okay, yeah, so that's,
Carlton's not here.
Oh, we do have Mrs.
Great.
Moscone here.
Hey.
Just to give you a little bit of, what the CPA is, just for the public that may be watching. CPA is the Community Preservation Act that was passed. I don't know the date when it passed for the town, but we collect 2% off of every resident in town. Except for the first 100,000 is exempt, right?
Mhm.
Yep. So it's 2%
Right,
of
for
that.
certain exemptions,
Certain
low income.
exemptions, yep, and there are other exemptions that seniors can qualify. So if you're a senior listening, you should always check in with the assessors to see if maybe you weren't missing that, but we do a lot of notification. So we're hoping that everyone knows that.
And does it apply to some veterans too?
I
I
don't
believe so.
probably,
Okay.
have to check on that.
He's hitting on a presentation.
Yeah.
for-
Oh, sorry. I looked
That's
at it, I
okay.
wanted to be surprised.
That's okay.
Seven's budget will just,
Okay.
get the,
Great. I believe veterans hours.
All right.
yeah.
Just to explain the budget, CPA surcharge for 2%. We have to estimate it because we have no idea what's going to come in the next year. We work with Lori and her folks, and we do estimate very conservatively. Because we'd rather not be short the money later. An example of so far this year, we have exceeded our estimated by roughly 15%. And also not included in the estimate is any interest, which is a decent amount of interest so far this year is $150,000. State revenue match is for this, the deposit that was made to us this year was $167,000. And we had it estimated $135,000. But as you know, that fluctuates. I've seen it real low when we started CPA, when Merrill started it, it was 100%. So it goes up and down. So we have to estimate that conservatively too. Those are the two sources of funds we use to set the budget. The state says that we have to allocate minimum of 10% to community housing, open space. This should actually be open space and recreation, and historical resources. We can allocate more, but the committee always decides just to do 10%, and anything left over, I'll explain later, goes into an undesignated reserve fund. So we do the 10%. That's projects that come into us, feels, the academy building, when it was done, things like that. So there's the projects.
Do you have to spend all your money by the end of the year, or can you roll it over?
It goes into undesignated,
Yeah, continuously.
right? So
Okay.
it can be used. Admin funds, you'll see a payroll line. That's because when our admin from the town manager's office hours were cut last year, because CPC just had so much stuff for him to do, we picked up. This current year was 5 hours a week. We've cut it down to, I believe, 2 hours a week. So that's what the salary is. Admin expenses are used for due diligence, surveys, appraisals, legal services, things like that, that aren't necessarily a project yet. Debt service and that admin expenses, the state says not to allocate more than 5%. So we're definitely under 5%. Debt service, we're still paying for the academy building renovations, and I think another 10 years for that, 2036. Yeah. This year, we retired the Keith Homestead. So that's off the books.
Wow.
Budgetary reserves is basically what I said, anything over the 10% of the 5% goes into reserves. That's it. Any questions?
Well, I have a question. So,
Sure.
the 2.5%.
2%, yeah.
The 2%. So is that a 2.5 proposition tax and then plus 2% for this, or
No.
does that come out of the taxes?
If you
No.
want to explain it.
It's on your tax bill, but it says CPA.
Yeah.
And I'm amazed how many people that were paying for a certified public accountant. It's 2% of your tax appraisal, your tax bill.
Okay.
So it has nothing to do with the 2.5. Probably 2.5.
Residents have asked me, so I pay my taxes and then I have to pay another 2% to go to CBC. That's not correct. So I just
Well,
want to.
no, it is,
That
because
is
they
correct.
pay their taxes.
Yeah.
And on top of the taxes, well, it's included in the tax bill.
Yeah.
So if you look, it's the tax amount, then the CPA surcharge, but it doesn't say, I don't think it says surcharge CPA, then it's a total. So they're paying the taxes and it includes.
To see.
Yeah,
it includes that.
Semantics, the way you're
Yeah.
describing it.
Right,
yeah, well, they thought it was on top of the 2.5, like they pay their taxes and then plus more taxes that goes to CPC, but if I pay my taxes, the CP takes out 2% from mine,
No, it's
Oh,
a
it's-
separate line item on your taxes.
right? So I'm paying
Right.
2 taxes.
so yes,
And
Yeah.
semantics, the way you're describing it, you could go either way.
it's yes and no.
Does that make
It's,
sense?
No, because that's why residents are confused, and I can't specifically say, well, if you pay $1,000 in your taxes,
Yeah.
2% of that's gonna go to you.
That's incorrect.
That's incorrect,
Right. You pay $1,000 to the town,
and then I'm
and
paying,
then an additional 2% goes to CPA.
all right, so I'm,
but
so
it's total.
residents are paying more than 2.5% taxes then.
With any fees that are additional fees that are on their bills, right? Not just this one.
Or whatever. What do you mean?
I mean, I don't know.
What do you mean, like motor
Oh,
vehicles?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that they understand, because if they say, but they're like, why is I'm paying to this, committee? They wanna know that.
Right. 'Cause Bridgewater
And I
has-
wanted to make sure it was completely clear.
Right.
Because,
So it's a yes and no to your question.
well, you
They
see,
pay the taxes, so if you look at your
but it
tax
is a
bill,
yes, they're paying 2% more.
But it's on your tax bill, right?
it's on your tax bill, so it's
Your
total,
taxes.
yeah.
Right. But I mean, my whole tax, this is the question. So my whole taxes, I pay 2.5%. Right,
Each year more.
each year. No,
More.
this year,
No, you pay it on the tax rate, so you have a tax rate, so you have the appraisal of your property
right, so 2.5% goes up each year.
on the assessment.
On the
assessed
assessment.
value. So
Right.
there's your raise of the value.
Okay,
That's
so
what it's
that's gonna be on my house,
That's on the.
my property.
valuation.
Right, so that's,
So
I'm
then
paying
it
that.
is what it is, and then you pay the tax rate, your real estate bill times the tax rate is your
Okay.
real estate bill. But then there's a 2% cost, with $100,000 exemption, so it's not on the total.
So the more
assessment.
taxes I pay, the higher my 2% is.
Yeah.
Correct.
So it's like my car. So it's not,
it's a
it's
surcharge.
total separate, and I'm paying more because my taxes are up high.
Correct.
The assessment's going up.
So,
Again, sorry to be the unpopular person in the room, but that's what I
no, I think
specialize
I am, go ahead.
in. When this was something we've discussed, looking into changing,
Yeah,
only because we've talked about an override as an option, right? So I'm not saying it's favorable to anybody in the room, but if we were to go up and add an override to people's bill, could we lower CPA to 1% to offset so people's tax bill isn't getting hit?
yeah,
Believe, and Merrily and Laurie comment on this, I believe it would take a vote, a ballot
oh,
vote.
yes, it's
Right.
valid, yeah.
Sure.
It can be done. I've never seen it done before.
It's been attempted all across.
It's
the
been
state, and I
attempted.
don't think it ever passed.
Yeah.
To repeal it or lower it. This
Right.
was like, I've looked
Yeah.
at it.
And we've only had talks of it. I mean, it's never amounted to anything but that, so.
But it is.
Well, we
kept
have
in
to
a
have talks
special
when residents bring up questions.
Yeah.
And this is why I wanted to clarify, because they started bringing it up like with the override. And then we started looking at stuff, and then they got confused again. So they're like, so if my town taxes go up, my house tax go up, then I'm paying more for that too. And that's what they want to clarify. So I'm just trying to get it just so clear that anybody who's watching can understand it.
And that'll come out with your presentation tonight.
Yeah, tonight.
So we can ask those questions too, yeah.
And I think
But I
too,
appreciate it.
it's important to know that this money is in its own segregated fund.
Yeah.
Because of the Mass General laws, can only be spent on certain types of projects. If anyone wants to go see on the website, the CPA Coalition, you can see all the cities and towns that do it. And there's like a list of 3 or 4 pages of all the projects that.
I don't think any of the residents that have asked me questions have any problem with the way they're spending it. But with everything so expensive,
Mhm.
they just want clarity.
Sure. Of
You know
what
what I
it
mean?
is. that
Because I
they're
mean, it's going up, that means that's going up. But they're happy with, all the sports and everything else. They're that happy, but they just wanted to clarify it. Just
And
like,
the important part too is there's a match from the state, right? So it's
Mhm.
yeah,
not free, but there's free
but
money.
it's not going to
back
them,
us
but yes,
because
I
of that.
understand,
Right.
yeah. They just wanted really clarified so they could understand.
And
it.
there is a lot of money sitting there, but the committee has been looking at the Hanson Farm for like 10 years. And building the money CPA to purchase that. We were very fortunate to get that MVP grant, or else that
Oh, yeah.
$3 million would have came from this fund.
Well, look at all the sports fields and stuff. So it has nothing to do with the great
Right.
things they're doing. They just wanted to understand it and that's what I'm trying to do.
And it has to be accounted for in a special revenue fund. You know,
Yeah.
Very, very legal, specific issues that have to follow the law, so.
Yeah,
And
they never
the
question that,
committee-
Laurie.
CPC committee does a great job,
Yeah,
We do have, it looks like we have a huge balance.
Yeah.
We probably do. But we're also looking at a number of potential projects coming up.
of the pipeline.
As Laurie said, we were like banking on that we would have to pay for Hanson Farm,
yeah.
3 million, no, yeah, 3 million. We got the grant for that amount,
Yeah,
so that's 3 million
That we can
that we
put-
thought we were going to have to spend a bond that we did. But
yeah,
we do
no,
have a number of
I know
projects.
the great work that you guys have done, and they just wanted clarification, and that's what I'm here for, to clarify questions that my residents ask me, so.
I was gonna ask for the balance, Laura, if you have a pretty
It's about
I-
5.3 million.
5.3.
But that does,
Taking a lot of questions.
but it
I would
does
say-
actually, you know, that might be the balance in there, but there is like a 1.1 million of it is already segregated through continued appropriations. So
Right, so we have funds not committed to projects. It looks like we have a balance of 4.3 million, but as Laurie said, 1.1 million is already committed.
Yeah.
So funds not committed is roughly 3.2 million.
And some of it are in the specific buckets that you can only use for community housing, historic, open space and recreation, so.
Yeah,
And then there's an undesignated there. Older.
no, because you guys just put all new windows on the housing down on,
Right.
and on the church, so
The church.
affordable housing, the church, yeah.
And this building.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
the
Steve
just about,
Yeah.
yeah.
The building.
Library's getting, sorry.
And fixing the cars,
Yeah.
finally. I know that's been bothering you.
Yep.
Okay. All right, any more questions?
I'll ask. I saved a few.
Motion to recommend.
Can I get a second?
A second.
All approve?
Aye.
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 All right. Any public comments? No, thank you very much for coming and
Thank you.
explaining
Thank you.
everything.
For the work that our committee does.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make them easy.
What was it?
Make them easy.